Alright guys, in this video we're talking about Naughty Dog. We have some interesting updates as well as some pretty significant rumors to go over and talk about here. It's 2022 and I think most of us are expecting Naughty Dog to come out at some point this year and, let us know what is going on, what exactly they're working on, and a lot of people are hoping for different things. And so we're going to go over this information. Before we do though, be sure to hit the like button to help this video out and show your support. And if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button as well. And while you're at it, leave a comment down below telling me if you would buy a Last of Us Remake, a from the ground up remake for PlayStation 5, assuming you have a PlayStation 5 or are planning to get one. Let me know if that's something you would buy down in the comments below. We're starting here though with Neil Druckmann officially confirming that Naughty Dog is working on multiple game projects. So this is reading from PlayStation Universe, where it says, speaking during a presentation at CES 2022, Naughty Dog's Neil Druckmann has confirmed the Sony-owned studio is working on multiple game projects, but stopped just short of revealing any further details about these future titles. Druckmann was discussing the upcoming Uncharted movie and HBO's Last of Us show. He added, quote, "And we're dying to share with you the multiple game projects we have in the works at Naughty Dog," unquote. So not the biggest news, and honestly, I think most people already assumed that this was the case. I don't think anybody believed that the only title Naughty Dog was working on is this multiplayer Last of Us game, although I think that a good chunk of their team is currently working on it and finishing it up. But, Naughty Dog is a massive studio. It's one of the biggest studios that Sony owns, and, they're never just doing one thing at any given time. They're always working on multiple projects. But, this leads people to kind of question what projects, is Neil Druckmann referring to? Well, we do know about the Last of Us multiplayer game, which is in development. We have heard multiple rumors of a Last of Us remake. There is talk of a Last of Us Part 2 director's cut. And then there's obviously people hoping that they're doing something with Uncharted again or working on a new IP. So we are now going to move on to the rumor section of this video, which I think is a little bit more interesting, certainly, than Neil Druckmann confirming that. We have the reliable insider and reliable leaker Tom Henderson. He's been around for quite some time and he has an extremely solid track record. He took to Twitter last night and he said, heard from multiple people now that The Last of Us Remake is nearly finished and could release during the latter half of 2022. He continues by saying, with The Last of Us 2 multiplayer and The Last of Us 2 director's cut, I've heard they are coming too, but I don't know exactly when/how. Them all releasing together could be a good compromise if God of War got delayed to Q1 2023, but that's just speculation on my end for the moment. And so it's worth noting that some people took what Tom Henderson was saying here about God of War as he was letting us know it's going to be delayed until Q1 2023. And he clarified, which I don't think he needed to do. If you read what he said, he made it clear that he's just speculating that. He doesn't know if that's going to happen. No one knows that that's going to happen. Although I do think it's highly unlikely we're going to see God of War pushed into 2023. But, he mentions The Last of Us multiplayer, and he also mentions The Last of Us 2 director's cut. So, these are two things that we know exist. I mean, the multiplayer isn't new, but we haven't really heard much about a director's cut for The Last of Us 2, but it would make sense for Naughty Dog to want to do that. But we also have VGC chiming in with this as well, and they put out an article where they say a PlayStation 5 remake of the original Last of Us game is nearing completion and could be released in the second half of 2022. That's according to industry insider Tom Henderson, whose claims match information that VGC has received via our own sources. And so, this is something that I think is worth going over as well, because we now have two sources pretty much confirming this. And, when you think about a Last of Us remake, it's pretty divisive, honestly. I mean, anytime it's brought up, you have pretty much, two different groups of people, or maybe even three. But the two groups are the one side, a lot of people think that the PS4 remaster of The Last of Us is perfectly fine, and it just doesn't need any more work. It doesn't need anything done to it. It's already there, and if you want to experience The Last of Us 1, there you go. But then there are also other people who feel that it would be great to see The Last of Us remade from the ground up, to see them take this game and put it into the same engine that's used for The Last of Us 2 and just see like how much better it could run on the PlayStation 5. Some people are thinking that they might even make some slight alterations to the story itself, or maybe add certain pieces of content into it, which I think that would be a big difference maker. If they were to give us a Last of Us remake that's just a one-to-one remake, just in the new engine, I think a lot of people would still buy it and a lot of people would still play it for sure. It's The Last of Us. But that versus they're doing that and then they're also adding a little bit more content that maybe was cut for whatever reason previously, and now they're going to add it in, or maybe they just wanted to add more content to it after the fact. I think that would, entice a lot of people, maybe who were originally hesitant. But, the remake coming out this year, that wouldn't be too surprising to me. I think we heard reports that this remake has been in development since 2019, and it was originally being developed by, I think, Sony's visual arts group, but it was then passed off to Naughty Dog so that they could finish it up. And you just have to wonder, how this is all gonna kind of come out. I mean, would it make more sense for Sony to release the Last of Us Part 2 Director's Cut and then, like, a couple months later release The Last of Us PS5 Remake? I feel like that would kind of be in reverse order. Do you release both at the same time? We don't even know if The Last of Us PS5 Remake is going to be like a full priced game. We don't know if Sony's going to charge a full $70 for it. I think a lot of people would be upset if Sony were to do that. They feel like that's just a bit too much for a game that, a lot of people would argue doesn't need a remake. Maybe they'll have like a bundle for $70 where you get The Last of Us Remake as well as The Last of Us Part 2 Director's Cut. Also, the fact that Part 2 is getting a Director's Cut, every Director's Cut that Sony's done so far, they've added some type of content to it. So there's that as well. And then we have the multiplayer game. Now, this is the thing I am most interested in. I have to admit, I'm intrigued at the idea of a Last of Us PS5 remake. It's just one of these things I have to see it for myself before I can really decide if I'm actually going to want to play it. I love The Last of Us 1, so the idea of, playing a from the ground up remake does sound enticing and appealing, but I am kind of on the fence about it. But the multiplayer game that Naughty Dog is working on really is the thing that I am paying attention to, because you do have to wonder, with all of these things lined up, right? Assuming that everything we're hearing about The Last of Us remake pretty much being done, if it is, then yeah, it'll probably come out this year. Sony will want to release it alongside the HBO series to drum up the most amount of excitement. This all makes sense. Where does The Last of Us Part 2 Director's Cut fall in line with that? And where does this multiplayer game fall in line with it? I feel like there is a very good chance here that, especially, and I want to add this, especially because Naughty Dog said that Fortnite is one of the games that inspired them the most recently. Fortnite is a free-to-play live service game, and they want this to be as successful as that, or not as Fortnite, but extremely successful nonetheless. I think there's a very good chance this game could be free-to-play, and it's interesting because anytime I see people talk about The Last of Us multiplayer, they mention the fact that, they cut it out of The Last of Us Part 2, and now they're going to try to sell it to you. And I'm like, well, what if they don't? What if they're not selling you anything? What if it's free to play? What if the only thing they want to sell you are cosmetic microtransactions, right? I think that's a real possibility here, guys, and I think that would be huge. I really do. I think that if Sony is very serious and Naughty Dog is very serious about this game being, like a top tier live service multiplayer game that, is at the forefront and is very popular, I think it would have to be free to play. If it has like a $40, $50, $60, $70, barrier to entry, it could still be successful, right? It's a PlayStation exclusive. It's The Last of Us, so it'll do well, but not nearly as well as it could if it was free to play. So I guess to sum everything up, and where I'm going to end this video, based off of everything we know, what I could see happening is Sony announcing The Last of Us PS5 Remake and The Last of Us Part 2 Director's Cut, and bundling those two together. I know that, you know, may not seem likely, but I could see that happening. I could also see them selling it separately, but I just don't know when exactly they would release them. I mean, do you release them at the same time? Do you release them a couple months apart? But I'm just going to say that they're going to bundle them. And then I think the Last of Us multiplayer game will be announced around the same time or not too long after, and it's going to release, I want to say, either very late 2022 or maybe even early 2023, and it's going to be free to play. That's what I take from this, and that's just pure speculation on my part. But at this point, I want you guys to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. On top of letting me know whether or not you would buy a Last of Us PS5 remake, I want you to let me know how you think Sony is going to release all of these things. Do you think they're all just going to be standalone $70 products, or do you think that, you know, Sony's going to kind of change things up here a little bit? I'll certainly be interested to see what you have to say. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.